Hello and welcome back to the Transform Awards Europe 2026. Well, I'm joined now by an agency and client combo. So from Siegel+Gale, we have Sophie Luttman, who is the Executive Creative Director. We have James Snook, who is the Associate Creative Director. And from Greene King, we have Holly Subham, who is the Head of Brand Strategy. Now, you guys have been shortlisted together in two categories, which is very exciting. And just starting with you, Sophie, perhaps you could tell me a little bit about why Greene King felt the need to undergo this rebrand in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, we started this project about 5 years ago, so it seems a long time ago. But we started with a project that we called North Star that was seeking to find a place for the Greene King pub brand within the portfolio of brands. So Greene King is a corporate brand as well as being a pub brand. So they had lots and lots of pubs and restaurants within that portfolio. And we wanted to elevate the Greene King pub brand beyond being the corporate entity that held everything. And so we started there. We started with the portfolio, and then we worked through a whole load of immersion and strategic work to get us to a point about 2 or 3 years ago where we had like a unifying strategy for elevating the experience for Greene King customers and then creating a brand off the back of that.
Awesome. And what was it like the research phase itself helped uncover?
Well, I mean, mostly it was about elevating the brand from a more kind of value space into a more mainstream premium space. But also, so we did a lot of research into that. So the first few years were quite a lot of research into what people thought of Greene King as a brand, what they experienced, what they liked experiencing, what they didn't like experiencing. So all of that kind of thing. And that got us to a place where we were like, well, people actually want, yes, they want value for money, but they also want a more premium, bespoke experience from the pub brand, and also a more community. Like pubs need to be about community and about people being together, not just eating and drinking. So we kind of got to a place where we were like, we want to just move it a little bit further into mainstream premium and a bit further away from a cheap pint and some fish and chips, which you could still get, obviously. So that was kind of where that was where we got to with the whole idea. And the brand strategy is about making moments greater for customers. And like all the way through the process, we've used customer research to kind of inform all of that. So that's where we ended up in terms of the research drove us to a point where we were like, well, let's look at how we can elevate the experience in the pub for the customers, as well as showing up as a slightly different brand, like a less corporate brand.
Absolutely, and I can imagine them being a really fun client to do some
Yeah, it's
research
great.
for along
We
the
did
way.
loads of research into the pubs,
Research,
as you
okay.
can imagine.
Not research. Let's leave it at that.
And James, maybe you could tell me a little bit about the strategy that kind of developed off of that, some of the details there.
Yeah, so in a lot of our interviews with customers, we realised that, as Sophie was saying, pubs were this everyday kind of life element that people went to and kind of rose the occasion to a next level. So going for birthdays, going to meet up with friends, it took the mundane and it kind of elevated it further. So we kind of landed in this strategy, moments made greater for the brand and the strategy. And then we developed that into the visual identity as well and expanded on that and really tested out some of the elements with consumers themselves and found out that the crown itself as a logo was something that was instantly recognizable for consumers compared to any of the other pub brands. So that was the starting point for our design process as well.
That's fantastic. And tell me a little bit more about the visual identity overall, perhaps, how the color palette might have been changed, the typography, all these other elements that really make Greene King Greene King.
Yeah, so Greene King have a wonderful archive of all their history, of all the 250 plus years that they've been around. And there was lots of kind of elements and things that we discovered to really find the brand and what it was meaning for today. We really had to hone in on, because obviously a crown is it's a recognizable asset for Greene King, but also it needs to be distinctly a Greene King crown. So we went to Bury St Edmunds where the brewery is. We audited all the kind of logos that had been done before, and we saw this St Edmunds crown, which was on all the lampposts, on all the buildings, And so that was where we drew the inspiration for that as well. So it was tricky to balance that heritage and the modernity as well. So the modernity comes through our choice of bold colours, making sure we've got a green that's accessible for digital and for print, and bringing in this copper as well. So bringing some of the history of the brewery into it and the copper stills that are in the brewery there. So we had a lot of fun researching and going back and forth to various Edmonds.
Fantastic. And Holly, bringing you into the conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell me a little bit about what you think about the outcome that Siegel and Gale came up with, and also how this, puts you in good stead for the future.
Do you know, it's been so much more than an external rebrand. Internally, it has just given so much clarity to everyone across the business, and everyone is really excited about it. The work that Siegel and Gale have done, we've used it as a catalyst for pretty much every part of the customer experience, whether it's how our pubs look from the outside, how they look inside, what's the overall experience that we want our customers to have. From a marketing point of view, our campaigns finally look like they're coming from a brand rather than individual campaigns each and every time. I would say in some parts it's still early days. We've got a website that we still need to do. We've got a lot more, but we can already see the impact that it's making. Our awareness scores have shot through the roof, which isn't the be end and end all. Actually, the most important one for us is brand love, and we're already seeing a really positive trajectory there. So yeah, it's on a really great start.
Well, that's fantastic. Holly, James, Sophie, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck at tonight's awards.
Thank you.
Thank you.